and gentlemen, would you all please stand to welcome Nicola, who is accompanied by her father Robert, maid of honour Katie, bridesmaids Patricia, Phoebe and Louisa, flower girls Alice and Erin, and page boys Ernest, who's made an early appearance, and Tobias. I love you. Would all the guests please be seated? On behalf of Stephen and Nicola, I would like to welcome you all to the Ferry House Inn, which has been duly sanctioned according to law for the celebration of marriage. My name is Catherine, and together with my colleague Susan, it is our pleasure to be here with you all on this special day to conduct and register this ceremony. You have all been invited here to celebrate with Stephen and Nicola, to witness their marriage and the promises they will make to one another. Marriage is a commitment to life in which people can find and bring out the best in each other. When two people promise to love and care for each other in marriage, they create a union unique to themselves, which binds them closer than any spoken or written word. The legal declarations and vows that Stephen and Nicola make today will join their lives and are based on the love they share. Before you are joined in marriage, I have to remind you both of the solemn and binding character of the vows you're about to make. Marriage in this country is the union of two people, voluntarily entered into for life, to the exclusion of all others. But more than this, marriage is also intended to provide the love, friendship, help and comfort that we all need in our lives. If there is any person present who knows of a lawful impediment why Stephen Jarvie Kimberley and Nicola Claire Turner may not be joined in matrimony, you should declare it now.
Give me evil eye.
Well, I would now like to introduce James, who's going to read a poem specially chosen. Perhaps you could come up to the side here, James.
How falling in love is like owning a dog. Probably sausage dogs. First of all, it's a big responsibility, especially in a county like Essex. So think long and hard before deciding on love. On the other hand, love gives you a sense of security. When you're walking down the streets late at night and you have a leash on love, ain't no one going to mess with you. Because crooks and muggers think love is unpredictable. Who knows what love could do in its own defence? On cold winter nights, love is warm. It lies between you and lives and breathes and makes funny noises. Love wakes you up all hours of the night with its needs, it needs to be fed so it will grow and stay healthy. Love doesn't like being left alone for long, but come home and love is always happy to see you. It may break a few things accidentally in its passion for life, but you can never be mad at love for long. Is love good all the time? No. No. Love can be bad. Bad love, bad. Very bad love. Love makes messes. Love leaves you little surprises here and there. Love needs lots of cleaning up after. And sometimes you just want to get love fixed. Sometimes you want to roll up a piece of newspaper and swat love on the nose. Not so much to cause pain, just to let love know, don't you ever do that again. Sometimes love just wants to go out for a nice long walk, because love loves exercise. It'll run you around the block and leave you panting, breathless, pull you in different directions at once, or wind itself around and around you until you're all wound up and cannot move. But love makes you meet people wherever you go. People who have nothing in common but love. Stop and talk to each other on the streets. Throw things away and love will bring them back again and again and again. But most of all, love needs love. Lots of it. And in return, love loves you and never stops. Thank you.
Who presents Nicola to be married to Stephen?
I do.
Thank you, Robert. You should give your daughter
You've taken charge now.
Thank you, Ryan. You take your seat too. Right then. The promises you're about to exchange serve as a declaration of the love you have for each other. It is not just the words you speak today which will unite you, but the sense of love and devotion that you feel within your hearts. A good partner in a marriage will not only be loving and caring, but also a true friend. Stephen and Nicola, are you both ready to make your commitment to each other?
We are.
Right, one question now. Stephen, do you take Nicola to be your lawful wedded wife? Do you promise to be not only her husband, but also her best friend, to be loving and faithful to her for the rest of your life?
I do.
Nicola, do you take Stephen to be your lawful wedded husband? Do you promise to be not only his wife, but also his best friend, to be loving and faithful to him for the rest of your life?
I do.
I'm going to ask you to declare your freedom to marry, and then you'll both exchange your marriage vows. So Stephen, can you please repeat after me? I do solemnly declare.
I do solemnly declare.
That I know not.
That I know not.
Of any lawful impediment.
Of any lawful impediment.
Why I, Stephen Jarvie Kimberley.
Why I, Stephen Jarvie Kimberley.
May not be joined.
May not be joined.
In matrimony.
In matrimony.
To Nicola Claire Turner.
To Nicola Claire Turner.
Nicola, please repeat after me. I do solemnly declare.
I do solemnly declare.
That I know not.
That I know not.
Of any lawful impediment.
Of any lawful impediment.
Why I, Nicola Claire Turner.
Why I, Nicola Claire Turner.
May not be joined.
May not be joined.
In matrimony.
In matrimony.
To Stephen Jarvie Kimberley.
To Stephen Jarvie Kimberley.
The exchange of vows forms the heart of your ceremony. Having declared that you are free to marry, the time has now come for you to make your marriage vows. And this is a very special moment because as you say these words, you'll be joined in marriage. So Stephen, will you say to Nicola, I call upon these persons here present to witness that I Stephen Jarvie Kimberley do take thee Nicola Claire Turner to be my lawful wedded wife. And Nicola, will you say to Stephen, I call
I call upon
these persons here present
these persons here present
to witness that I,
Nicola Clare Turner,
do take thee,
Stephen Jarvie Kimberley,
to be my lawful wedded husband. A wedding ring is an ancient and traditional way of sealing a marriage, as it is a circle with neither a beginning nor an end. It is an outward sign to everyone of the promises you both made here today. Ryan, do you think you want to
Let me just get him. Yeah.
Oh, no, Louisa's taken him out. Thank you, Louisa and Patty.
Yeah. Just going to look at the points. So, Stephen, if you could take Nicola's ring.
That's, yeah.
Third finger of her left hand. Take that halfway and then say these words. I give you this ring.
I give you this ring
As a sign of our marriage.
as a sign of our marriage
And a symbol of my love.
and a symbol of my love.
There we go.
Right then, next ring please, Ryan.
Thank you.
Right, hold halfway there. I give you this ring.
I give you this ring
As a sign of our marriage.
as a sign of our marriage
And a symbol of my love.
and a symbol of my love. Stop breaking.
May you always be able to confide in each other, support each other's hopes and dreams, and laugh with one another. From this moment, you have created an understanding between the two of you that no one can break. We all hope that your love, trust, and understanding of each other will continue to bring you both contentment and joy in your life together and remain constant through the years. Stephen and Nicola, you have given your marriage vows and promises to each other in front of everyone here, and it is my great pleasure to announce that you are now married. I would now like to introduce my colleague Susan.
Many congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
I think you'll somehow get a very memorable wedding.
Hey.
You won't forget that in a hurry. It's my great pleasure to present you
Take it for a walk.
a commemorative certificate for this special day and to wish you every happiness in the future.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the formal ceremony of marriage, and it only remains for me to wish Stephen and Nicola, on behalf of everyone here, a wonderful future and a happy married life together.
Thank you.
So would you all please stand to greet and welcome, with as much noise as you think is appropriate, the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Kimberley.
Cut.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for. Sorry, I'm just trying to get used to the mic. Thank you for the celebration that we've got here, Steve and Nikki's wedding. My name's Bob. To my right is my darling wife, Kim, Nikki's mum, and obviously you've got Ali and Jarvie, Steve's parents, to my left. I'm sure they're as proud as we are, as as parents, to see the two of them join the matrimony today. It's really nice. Right. First of all, medical and health and safety warning, and this is for Sarah. We've had a quick look around, and there are 7 midwives and 2 doctors here, just in case you decide to go a little bit earlier. All right? So be reassured. And apparently there's been offers of, would you like a sweep or 2? I don't know what that is, obviously. Also, a couple of thank yous. One to the staff. They've done us proud in terms of getting everything that we wanted, Nick and Steve wanted, on the table at the right time, and there's been a few extras thrown in, and they've taken all with a big smile and said, yeah, great, no problem, give us a minute, we'll sort it all out. So a very big thank you to the staff. Now, as always in the time leading up to a wedding, there's always lots and lots of things to do. As the father of the bride, I managed to duck almost everything that was possibly going. But then I used to get, certainly coming up towards the end, it was a phone call or 2. Daddy, you know you love me. Yes. Could you just do this? And so I like to play with wood and do various things with wood. And so there were lots of things. Right, hold on a second. This is obviously a bunch of midwives in there. Always saying it the wrong way. So each one of these little phone calls would be a little task for me to, produce a post box or something of that nature. And I personally would like to thank Catherine, who sits before us at the present moment in time, because she did the thing that I could never do, and that's write in a way that you could actually read what was on these little coasters that we've got. So that's a big thank you from me to you, because I didn't have to do it. So thank you. And now the worst bit. I have to tell you something about Nicola. Or just a few things. You've probably got better stories than I have, actually, because you've probably been out with her more often in the evening. However, she was, I'm afraid to say, a delightful child. She really was. She was always big, smiling. Always, she woke up, she'd be looking around, and there wasn't. Sorry. She would be lying back there, and she wouldn't be any bother at all. So it really made a fuss, and really we discovered quite early she had, at that age, 2 great loves in her life. Oh God. Right, she would sit on the stairs in whichever house we were in, and we'd moved around quite a lot, and her first real words after Mummy and Daddy were, shoes, shoes. So any little pair of shoes that was around, Nicola would try them on. And her first job, while she was still in school, was to go out and work for Faith's shoe shop, which was very, very convenient for her. So she used to earn a fair bit of money, but we then found that there were lots and lots of shoes arriving in the house, so she never had any money at the end of it anyway. So no real benefit as far as the bank account was concerned in her preparations for going to university. All right, but her other love, and we found this out again quite by accident, was a sip of sherry. So from about the age of 5 or 6, Nicola would like a little sip of sherry. It would be normally Nanny's glass that would get tipped into, and she would have a little sip or 2. So if we ever found out that she'd fallen over, hurt herself, and we'd have to judge using the sherry test how serious this injury was. Invariably, if she was okay by the second sip, we knew that it wasn't that serious. But if she was still on the third sip and was still crying, we knew it was a bit of a problem. And there was a big test for this. We'd gone out to a pub and meet some friends, and outside they had a trampoline, but it was one of those that didn't actually have a net all around the outside. So some larger children came along and bounced Nicola off the trampoline onto the floor below, and it was about a 3-foot drop. So she came in absolutely unconsolable. You could not calm her down. We talked to her. No. The landlady, sensing that there might be, a bit of a compensation claim coming out, she rushed round. Oh, can we do anything? Can we do anything? The reply was, have you got any sherry? Right. Her eyebrow dropped up, she popped up, and then she, yeah, came back about 30 seconds later with a spoon of sherry. It was laid down in front of Nicola, who was still crying uncontrollably, couldn't do anything with her. She saw the sherry, and like a consummate professional at the age of 6, she picked it up, one hand, and downed the whole lot. Shortly afterwards, she was smiling, and everything had gone away. And she hasn't actually changed, according to Steve. If she bumps anything, she still has a bit of a problem, but now it's cocktails. Provided they've got no lime and no Pernod, she'll drink anything. So, as an individual, Nikki's always been very, very giving in many of the things that she does, and there were always lots of family birthdays and Christmas and all that sort of stuff, and she was always up first. Always the person who was making sure that the individual whose birthday it was, they were getting a lot of fussing. Which was great when it was a birthday, but when it came to Christmas, and Kim and I just about crawled into bed, closed our eyes, and then Nicola was awake. And the next person she would go to was James, her brother. And you'd hear, Dames. His name's James, but you cannot say James at that particular time, at the age of 6. So he's always Dames. And she struggles a bit now, but she's getting there. Exactly. So he actually was very good, the elder brother, and sort of calmed her down a little bit, and then, it was about an hour and a half before we actually get up again. But as he got older, he learnt a few choice words, which I won't repeat here, but she's still exactly the same now. When it comes to Christmas, as Steve will attest, she's just Mrs. Excitable. I say Mrs. Excitable now, but she would always be the first up and first getting at the presents. She would be very good. She wouldn't actually open them before anybody arrived, but as soon as they arrived through the door, the first present was at their feet. Here you go. There's yours. So we all got fed presents at that particular time. It's for her. She's continued then on this whole idea of giving. So, she's given us lots of surprises, lots of nice achievements along the way. And fairly recently, in her health trust, there was a few people who were nominated for an award, and ultimately Nicola was the successful recipient of an Inspiring Young Woman of the Year award, which is right. She keeps very quiet about that, but every now and again just embarrass her. So, as you may know, Nikki moved to London to do a degree in midwifery, and that's where she met Steve. Kim and I first met our new son-in-law, and he came along to help us move from one student accommodation to another. So, we hadn't met him before. She said he was a lovely fella, and this figure appeared. Severely hungover, feeling the worse for wear. This was mid-afternoon, I'll have to say. Yes, and he sort of shambled towards us. Always like a teenager, and he sort of mumbled a sort of hello I think it was hello anyway. He wasn't too sure. But I thought, well, yeah, great start, Steve. Great start. But as it is, since that good start, he visited us down in Plymouth, and he did the right thing. He brought a big bouquet of flowers for Nicola, and another big one for Kim, and a big bottle of whiskey for me. Who said we're easily pleased? But, all joking aside, we always enjoy Steve's company when he comes down, or when we're up in Sheffield and visiting. But one of his big things that he likes to talk about is his jiu-jitsu triumphs, right? Which is absolutely fantastic. But I noticed since his last visit to Plymouth, he hasn't talked about them very much since then. It's a very local thing, but the jiu-jitsu gym that he went to, academy that he went to, at that particular time was known as a very good quality bunch, and he had a successful role, but had the effects afterwards. But he's now taken the experience away, and we'll use it on everybody else. Right. But the other thing with Steve is, he used to go to a pub, and he'd come up with some mind-boggling fact about the history of a particular pub, which we'd only ever been into once. He'd only ever been into once, but he knew about Francis Drake or Scott at the Antarctic and people like that. So it's entertaining to be out with Steve, because you never know what you could go out with next. But I think for us, he's an individual who's always looking to try and do something different. And he's quite surprised us. He's called top trumps on me recently, because he's come up with something which I never ever did. Apparently, he's now got a new part-time job.
No.
Oh my God.
No.
Steve has got a new part-time job as a life model. And apparently they are all middle-aged women who like a lot of Prosecco. Oh, Ali, didn't you know about that? Oh. well, as you know, the other thing with Steve, he likes to pump iron. So I'm thinking, actually, maybe Nicola's got her hands on a future dream boy.
Oh, let's hope so.
But I did mention something and overheard something at the stag do when we went there. Apparently, one of the lads said that those ladies who are using charcoal probably won't need a lot when Steve's doing it. Now, I didn't know what it meant, but I thought, well, I better pass it on. So, all joking aside, though. Steve's also excelled in his profession as a teacher and head teacher. For Kim and I, we visited, the last time we visited, there was a knock at the door. And quite heartwarming for us to see was that there were two little children at the door. And they brought him their drawings from the day to their favourite teacher, who happened to live quite close by. And so you think, well actually, they're the important people in his life, his professional life, and they're coming across with some really, really nice things to say about him, even at that very young age. So, obviously, as far as we're concerned, you're doing very well, Steve. Yeah, I know. And now, of course, we've been blessed ourselves with the arrival of young Ernie, or young Ernest. who was suddenly ice screaming, who you might have heard a little bit of earlier on. But he wants to get in on the video, so he's achieved that. Right. Our little grandson, but of course, one of the things that Steve did very well is, with Nicola, was to make sure she was well looked after. So he was good with the first. Making sure he was on the right side was by her little tortoise. And then that was shortly afterwards followed by two Dachshunds, two little sausages, Molly and Frankie. And since then, he's managed to stay on the right side almost all the time, from what I could see. I think I've said enough, actually. I just wanted to say you must stay in the room for when Ryan does his speech. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. I understand he's rewritten it 4 or 5 times to put in even more jokes at Steve's expense. So I'm looking forward to that one, Ryan. All right, enough said from me anyway. Right, ladies and gentlemen, could you join me in a toast to Mr. and Mrs. Kimberley? Mr. and Mrs. Kimberley. Cheers. Steve?
So I felt okay about doing my speech earlier. Bob, you've absolutely destroyed me there. You know when you walk into a room and you forget why you're there? That's sort of what I've done right now. So I'm going to start off by saying, so he'd actually been circumcised in Oh no, sorry, that's Joe's best man speech. All right, that's my one. So thank you so much, Bob, for your kind words. Yeah.
You're going to apologise to Mum later.
I'll explain in due time. So I just want to say thank you to the venue for their hard work and their hospitality. It's a beautiful location. It's just a shame about the rain earlier. And can I get a cheer for the food? How good was that pheasant? And the vegan menu. So when we first knew that we were getting married, we looked at over 100 venues around Essex and Kent, and we whittled it down to about 6 that had the kind of aesthetic that we liked. This was the first one we came and looked at, and we went, well, it's perfect, but it's the first one we looked at, so surely it's going to go up from here, and it just never quite got that same feeling. We always knew that this was going to be the one. The photographer, on the other hand, we picked Scott out straight away. Well, I know we want that one. We booked him well in advance. So thank you, Scott. You've been amazing today. Just want to say, Nicola's parents, they've always been very welcoming of me ever since I first met them. In fact, the first time I was ever having a family dinner at the Turner household in Plymouth, Kim made me feel very extra welcome at the family table by asking me if I'd ever had an STD. I said, Kim, how long you got? My new brother-in-law, James, he promptly downed his glass of wine, and I committed the exchange to memory that I bring up every time I get the opportunity. To my parents, thank you so much for your love and your support over my life. You've shown me and my sister what a loving home is, and now we're trying to give the same to our children. And can I just say, how beautiful does my wife look today? It was everything I had imagined, except I thought it was going to be all white. To the bridesmaids, Katie, you look gorgeous if I weren't a married man. In fact, I'm going to hook you up with my best man later. It just shows to us what happens when you put in a bit of effort. To all my groomsmen, where are you all? Thank you so much for being at my side today. I've always been able to rely on you guys, and I'm honoured to have had you as my groomsmen today, so thank you to you all. To all of our friends and family, I really cannot put into words how much all of you being here with us today means to us. We understand how difficult the last couple of years have been, and how hard it must have been just for some of us to have actually made it here today, so we deeply, deeply appreciate it. And we also know that some people in the world will have gone through hell with their own weddings, so to have ours exactly where and exactly when we wanted, with everyone that we wanted there, we feel truly blessed for it, so thank you for everyone to being here. Obviously, there's loved ones who, for different reasons, couldn't be with us here today, so we have my aunt and uncle out in America with my cousin. We have Nicola's aunt and uncle out in Denmark. And then there's many other loved ones who we would have loved to have had here today with us to enjoy the day, but they're no longer with us. There's grandparents, we have great aunts, we have cousins, we have friends. So could I just ask everyone to very quickly just raise a glass to those who we still love very deeply but can't be with us here today. first met Nicola 7.5 years ago with some chocolate digestives and a bottle of wine. We both liked dogs and TV shows about serial killers, which, funnily enough, my new brother-in-law had made some of them. And she kept cooking me dinner, and I knew that I could be onto a winner. After a few oh yeah, Patricia cooked me dinner as well a few times, thank you. You made my burgers extra tall. After a few months, I met Nicola's parents, and I was extremely hungover. And a few weeks later, she finally met my parents, and I was extremely drunk. And our relationship would take the next step in a very Nicola way. I had just moved into my first flat in Purfleet, and she'd moved into a shared house in Stratford. But she was constantly at my bloody flat. And one day I'd had enough of it, and I sat her down, and she was invading my hard-earned privacy, and I said, listen, you're paying all this money for a room in Stratford, and you're never there. And she went, you know what, you're right, I should move in. But that's just Nicola. In fact, another very Nicola thing is I remember we found her teenage diary a couple of years back, and we thought it would be fun to give it a read. And there was many entries that she claimed she couldn't remember making. But there was one where she was saying, I don't understand why the boys don't like me. And I thought, you know what, I totally understand. No idea why. So now I'll tell you the story of our engagement. We were out in the Bahamas, and I wanted to propose to her. I picked out this 14th century French cloister on the island that was just down the road from the hotel. I'd looked it up on Google Maps. I had my photo ops all set up, and I wanted to do it on the 5th year anniversary of us meeting. And I said, Nick, should we go to that cloister that I told you about? And she went, nah, fuck off, it looks like it's going to rain. And she went, let's just sit in the hot tub and drink tequila. And we actually met the newlyweds in front of us, Will and Catherine, who got married 2 days ago. They're supposed to be getting married today. And I was speaking to Will, and he was going, yeah, we're going to propose. And I was like, funnily enough, I was meant to do it today. I'm going to do it tomorrow now. And as she was speaking to Catherine, she said, you ever going to get engaged? And Nicola went, never. He's never asking me. And the two of them spoke later on, and they went, oh, she's never getting proposed to. And Will went, well, actually, I might have some inside information. So, Nicola, thank you so much for, despite everything, agreeing to be my wife. You're an incredible mother to our little boy, and I can't wait to continue raising him with you. I'm sure he and any other children we have together will grow up to be happy, loved, and healthy. Nicola, my wife. You keep me from slipping, you keep me in check, you make me want to be a better person, a better father, and now a better husband. And if I think of all the things we've already been through together, buying and attempting to train and then saving one of our dogs, travelling across America and eating all the sandwiches, saving the life of a very fat guy who got stranded in the Grand Canyon, selling the flat, buying a house together, selling that house, buying a bigger house together. We've celebrated the marriages and the children of so many of our friends, bringing Ernest into the world, watching him grow into the beautiful little soul that he is. So with all these adventures and memories in the past, I'd like everyone to raise a glass to the future. May all of our futures be filled with love and memories with all of you. To the future. I've kept it short and fairly sweet. And on that note, they say that there's some poll, I don't think it's a legitimate study, but there's a poll that says that Irish is the sexiest accent in the world. And out of those, that Donegal is actually the most handsome of all of those. So in a second I'm going to pass off to the exception to that rule. A man who needs absolutely no introduction because nobody cares. I'm going to pass on to my best man, Ryan. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan, and it is my very great pleasure and privilege to be Steve's best man for today's celebrations. So it's my job to stand up here and talk about what an amazingly talented, interesting, and well-liked person Steve is. Unfortunately, since most of you know him, I realised that wasn't going to work. I just decided to stick to the truth instead. After all, how do you describe a guy who has the same commitment to never losing as an Olympic athlete, and whose go-to move at a party isn't backflips or beatboxing, but reciting endless chunks of boring plays? And he counts some of his greatest achievements to be convincing a stranger that he was the kid from Jurassic Park, or going an entire day without mentioning that he has a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You have to start at the beginning. We met about 7 years ago through our girlfriends, and to be honest, we had both been dreading that cliched moment when you're forced to meet another boyfriend of a friend. And things went from bad to worse when we did meet that night, as I could clearly see he was ginger. However, against all odds, we hit it off straight away. Drank vodka, talked about music, and despite the fact I didn't mention his hair colour once, he made an unprecedented number of Irish jokes. And then he cooked the curry so hot that to this day I can't hear Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire without thinking of Steve's face that night. For some reason I still agreed to become his friend, and in the last 7 years we have enjoyed many great times together. And we share a friendship based on drinking, name calling, and me practicing my psychology skills to work out why he can be such a knob. After many discussions into the subject, it looks like it stems from his youth. From what he's told me, I think it's fair to say that Steve was much like any other teenager, and as a semi-intelligent, forward-thinking type of kid with an eye on the future, he soon began dreaming of where life would take him and how he would find that special someone. The only problem was that his two main talents were being a massive nerd and a great working knowledge of the emo scene. And he was struggling to see how he can combine them to make himself irresistible. Steve knew he had to think of something for the future that would earn him a living, make him even more attractive to women, and pay for all the hair conditioner he would need when he grew up. However, deep down, he knew he had a hair colour that would prevent him from having a normal life like normal people, and so created a coping mechanism that involved developing an obsession with winning. It is to his very great credit that all these years later, and Steve has never officially lost a competitive encounter in anything whatsoever. And if he has, he's quick to educate the others on how they cheated. Even now, the time he lost to me at Crazy Golf burns a hole in his happiness, and I'm surprised it wasn't mentioned in his speech. But Steve realised he couldn't go on this way. He sensed he needed some direction, some purpose in life, so he decided to write down all of the things that he was good at and went from there. It didn't take very long, but it was to be a life-changing moment. With a real passion for having 32 weeks holiday a year, an overwhelming desire to finish work just after lunch, and a burning ambition to one day have a career that comes with a mental breakdown, Steve dreamt of becoming a reasonably well-respected teacher. He really liked the idea of this as a career, as it would really free up lots of time for wrestling with sweaty men, excelling at whatever his latest hobby is, and boring everyone's senses with impromptu recitals. I think it's fair to say that Steve loved school growing up, mainly because he got to show off his ability to read without following along with his finger. That briefly made him consider retiring at the top of his game. It says much about his time there that his application to become head boy was actually considered to be some kind of joke. At university, he found he could really explore his passions and potential to the maximum, and it proved to be a real voyage of discovery. His main discovery was the effect of alcohol on his powers of persuasion. If you're wondering, it takes about 4 pints to convince someone to be their best man. After graduating, the guys who interviewed him for his first teaching role really loved Steve. They'd been on the lookout for a pub enthusiast with a thing about fad hobbies for some time, so they snapped him up. And I'm pleased to say that his career is going from strength to strength. And he's never happier when he's telling rooms full of people information that they'll never use, and spending his evenings telling stories of students wetting themselves. But of course, Steve still wanted to share his world with someone special. And so one day he had to set about finding a life partner. Dating was to be an interesting journey for Steve. And what he discovered was that trying to get girls to like you is almost impossible if they realise how high maintenance you are. And what the girls mainly discovered was that Steve could never love them as much as he loves researching his next get-rich-quick scheme. But luckily, somebody really clever had invented the internet. And somebody even more clever had invented internet dating. Suddenly, Steve was in with a chance. And unbelievably, it worked. Obviously, somebody this special wasn't going to stay single forever. And one day, he met the very beautiful Nicola, and so we find ourselves here today. Rumour has it, she was either completely bowled over by Steve's choice of first date biscuits, or his complete inability to ever be wrong. And Steve just couldn't believe somebody this pretty was happy to take him on as a project. Seriously, Nicola, I know everyone will agree with me when I say you look absolutely beautiful. Steve really is a very lucky guy. We've all spent so many great times together, so I know just what a great couple you make, and I couldn't be happier for the both of you stood here today as his best man. Thanks, Steve. Together with your son Ernie, you already make great parents and a fantastic family. I'm just so happy for him that he's found such a special someone to share his life with. I will never forget that night when Steve and I were out drinking and we got the call to come back as your waters had broke. Mainly because when we arrived back, Steve thought that was a great opportunity to show off his jiu-jitsu moves on the floor. Whilst the coffee was being made to sober him up enough to remember that you were actually pregnant. All I can say is, Nicola, good luck. Steve, how do I sum up all these years of friendship in just a few sentences? Well, you've always been a great friend and good fun since the very beginning. But you're more than just a guy for the good times. You've always been there to help and support and encourage others no matter what. So thanks for making the tough times not so tough and the good times really good times. And here's to many more of those in years to come. All that remains is for me to wish you both a long, happy and healthy married life together and all the luck in the world. I would like to propose a toast to Nicola and Steve.
We've been waiting for so long. We've been waiting for this time to begin. We ain't getting any older. I kind of feel a little younger. Run away and embrace the day. The sun is out, won't go away. Feel the clouds on your shoulder. Touch the sky, feeling bolder. Going out, going all the way. Going high, 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 high. Going out, going all the way. Going high. We've been waiting for so long. We've been waiting for this time to begin. We ain't getting any older. I kind of feel a little younger. Going up, going out, going all the way. Going high, 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 high. Going up, going out, going all the way. Going high, high, higher. Going all the way, going up, going all the way, going up, going all the way, going high, higher.
Oh, praise his name, the high King of kings. Come, voices raised, with all that breathes, praise the Father, the Son, and Holy Ghost. Praise the Father, through years to come. You are my God.
Feel anticipation, you have the patience. Hopefully we'll see this through. Sparks at night, thunder